Hello, I am Joshua Spector,
And I am JMC Spector.
and we are the creators of the Woes of Whitby.
Welcome to our very special Q&A episode.
I am the director, producer, and editor of The Woes of Whitby, and I have had the wonderful opportunity to be able to create this work with my amazing husband, JMC Spector, and the talented cast we have brought together.
I am JMC Spector, the writer behind The Woes of Whitby. I have had the extreme pleasure of being able to put my own spin on this wonderful classical tale and then seeing it come to life under the guidance of Josh's editing and through our incredible cast.
This project initially was going to be a stage show, and we were looking into being able to perform this with one of our local community theater programs, but that obviously did not pan out due to current global circumstances. So,
Then Josh had the amazing idea of taking the script we'd worked so hard on and finding another platform for it, and that's where the idea of an audio drama came from. I will admit in the beginning I was hesitant that it would work, but Josh had the vision for it, and with his guidance, here we are.
we have been extremely happy to be able to create this work, be able to see it actually evolve into something, because we have put so much passion and love into this project. And it was really disheartening to kind of have it all fall away once the pandemic hit. But being able to create it with this medium has just been completely new for us, for one, but also such a blessing because we've met such incredible people while doing this. I can honestly say that I'm really happy with how it's turned out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback off that and say that our cast is amazing and not just talented, but delightful people. And I enjoy every day getting to interact and see what they're working on. They're just absolutely stunning. So that has more than just seeing a work that we care about come to life. We got to meet new people, and they're awesome people.
So now with the obligatory butt kissing out of the way,
You all have questions, or some of you at least.
so without further ado, let's get on to the questions. So our first question from Carabite. What made you want to retell the story of Dracula?
Well, that's kind of a funny story from my part because, in all honesty, I didn't have much of an attachment to the story of Dracula when we first sort of imagined this project. We were just discussing different classics that we could retell on stage, and it was actually Josh who first pitched the idea of Dracula. At the time, I had, in all honesty, never actually read the original novel, so I got it out from the library and did a lot of, reading, but also research on it, and I just quickly fell in love with it. As I read it, I saw a lot of depth in that novel that I didn't really expect to be there, honestly. And what really struck me was the heroes of our story, the humans. What seems to have really lasted about the novel in our culture is Dracula himself, but in my opinion, from the original novel, it's the heroes that are more interesting. And so as we sat down to retell our story, and through the many redrafts and workshopping, it became more and more evident that what we cared about in the story were our heroes. We wanted to dig into, their relationships and the loss of Lucy and what that did to them, the effect of what Jonathan went through in Castle Dracula, even though we don't get to see it on screen, so to speak. It's obviously haunting him, and the overall effects of being brought together through this trauma, this sort of trial, and the friendships that are forged by it was really compelling to me. Our second question from Doobie asks, which episode or particular scene was the most difficult to produce?
All of them. No. I would probably say that the most difficult scene would have been Episode 3, Scene 4, in St. Mary's Churchyard. This is when our heroes are going to kind of confront Lucy, learn of what she's become, and confront her. And you wouldn't really think that was a difficult scene, listening to it, because it's just kind of walking, opening a casket, a lot of talking, and then there's, Lucy at the end. But the most difficult part, I think, was the confrontation with Lucy. There's just a lot of movement going around. There's fighting, there's yelling, there's grabbing, and you just have to have those sounds mixed perfectly and well enough that the listener can envision what is happening. And that's not really an easy thing to do with just audio. You'd think it would be, but it's not. So yeah, at this point I would say that scene is probably the hardest, but I absolutely know that our fight scene at the end of episode 4 is going to be the bane of my existence. So at the time of this recording, I have not tackled that yet. I am just about there, but I know that it's going to haunt me.
Doobie also asks, on the flip side, which episode or scene was the one you most looked forward to?
This is gonna sound bad, but I mostly looked forward to Lucy's death. It's just not for the reasons you'd think. It's just a powerful scene, I think, and I hope you feel that way too. But it's incredibly powerful to me. It has made me tear up. Our cast is amazing during it. And the composition of the scene, there's no sounds. I was trying to kind of go for like a Buffy-esque The Body episode with it, because I'm a nerd and a Buffy fan. But it's just our cast talking. There's movement sounds, but I really wanted the focus to be Lucy because we care about this character so much, and it's just this hopeful light, this precious, wonderful character that's being extinguished, and I want the listener to feel that. This question is from Celestial VA. What is it about the Dracula story that really excites you?
I think the thing that first excited me about the tale of Dracula was the way it was comprised through, because the original novel is told entirely through letters and journal entries and newspaper scraps. And I just find that a really fun narrative frame. It builds perfectly into the suspense of Dracula, because Dracula, when you're face to face with him, isn't always that scary. But the suspense the story builds, where Dracula's just moving in the background, in the shadows, the machinations you see through Renfield or other characters, and just this slow suspense that builds through these journal entries of people experiencing his plans. It's thrilling. From Main Street Mary Medium, any particular talent, screen or simply voice actors you would like to see involved in the tale one day?
That is a very difficult question. But I would have to say, probably for voice actors, I am a big fan of the voice actress Kari Waldron. So I would definitely like to see her involved in Dracula, I guess. I feel like she could do, honestly, any of the characters, but I feel like she would in particular be quite an amusing Lucy. And I don't know if she has done anything Dracula related before, so don't fact check me on that. But yeah, I'd like to see her involved. Or maybe Tara Strong. I love Tara Strong as well. Actors, like film actors, I don't know. The only one that I feel that I can think of off the top of my head, I feel like Emmy Rossum would be a really good Mina, and I would like to see her do that role. I just love everything she does. I really want to say a Dracula, but I can't think of someone that I feel would be a good Dracula. I don't know. I feel like every Dracula I've seen, I've kind of felt like there's something missing, but I don't know. I'll have to think on that.
That is a tough question. There's just so many talented performers out there. I am not one to be good at dream casting in any way. It would be fun on screen to see a female Dracula portrayed by Sarah Paulson.
Also from Main Street Merry Medium, what has been your favorite version of the Dracula story?
I feel like I kind of have to chicken out of that one because, admitting to being a little bit lame here, I have never seen any of the iconic Dracula adaptations. I did, after writing the original draft of Woes, read up on all the different adaptations there have been, but I haven't actually seen them in person. The closest I get would be like how Dracula was used in the TV show Penny Dreadful, which he did make a good villain in that. And I will nerd out on you here and say sometimes the use of Dracula in the Marvel Comics universe is delightful in a silly way, so I do like that.
Obviously Buffy.
I forgot they used Dracula in that.
But no, that's probably not my favorite, but I do love me some Buffy. I found it very interesting. This isn't the Dracula tale per se, but I really liked how Mina Harker was used in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. She's a real badass in it, and I believe she's a vampire herself in that one, but I love seeing characters merged from different stories into one big story, and seeing Mina, kick some butt is awesome because she's an awesome character.
This question comes from Autumn the Raven. What elements do you think are most important in bringing an audio drama to life?
The ambiance. I would definitely say, as much as obviously the voices are needed, I wouldn't say you're the most important part of it.
Ouch.
But that's not a jab. It's just to really build the world and to have the listener's mind's eye create this world and follow the movements of the characters. You really need the background sounds and you need the environmental sounds, like sitting in chairs, walking, writing something, ruffling pages, ruffling clothes, different animals in the wilderness, just anything you can think of, really. And you don't really think about that, one, when you're like, hey, let's make an audio drama, or two, while editing. It's like, oh, crap, I need that sound too. That is an essential part, I think. Music and the voices definitely are needed and definitely boost it and bring it to life. I mean, obviously, there's not going to be any life if it's just ambiance and no voices, but to definitely build it and create a world, that's what I think is very important.
I would like to plug that I do think the script is pretty important, because that's kind of where things start. But in all honesty, going off of what Josh said, I do think it is those sounds and the ambiance that make it an audio drama, as opposed to, an audio book. Those are all different storytelling tools you can use that are audio based, but only the genre of audio drama uses those everyday sounds to craft its world. And so I do think that's kind of what comes out on top as the most important element. From Celestial VA, we have, what is your favorite/least favorite part of the editing process?
Kind of going off of the last question here, I would say that my least favorite is also the ambiance, because it is annoying and there's too much going on in the world and I don't like all the sounds. It's too much to find. I have like a huge sound library now of random stuff that if anyone were to just listen to it, it would be hours and hours and hours of the weirdest sounds, and it's all to make the world. I have spent hours of searching for things as small as the right footstep. So yeah, that's probably my least favorite. but I also like the end result, so it's kind of a mixed bag there. My most favorite part of editing is seeing how the chemistry of the cast cultivates when I put their lines together, because I don't know if a lot of people know, but they are not recording together. We have cast members from all over the world. We can't get them together, so they are all recording on their own time, and a lot of the time they don't hear how the other person is delivering their lines. I'll inform them of maybe this is how they did it, but they don't hear it until really the final product or any sneak peeks that I might show them. So I am just so incredibly proud of how well they have done and the final product that they have helped create. We've got another Celestial VA question. These are kind of fun ones. If you were to be acting in the project, who would you want to play and why?
My first thought is just always and obviously Renfield, because he's a delight of a character. There's so much range from when he's just being polite to when he's being sly and mischievous to his manic episodes, and there's such a great range there. Other than that, Quincy rocks.
I feel like for my acting ability, I could pull off a really good Jonathan. I know that is not the answer that our cast wants me to say, but yeah, I think I could do a pretty good Jonathan. And another character, I would really like one of the Weird Sisters. I love how seductive or sadistic they are. And definitely my favorite is Weird Sister number 3. I feel like I could go absolutely nuts with that, and it would be so much fun.
On that front, why don't you go ahead and give us an example of Weird Sister 3?
No.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
I don't want to see yours.
Oh, come on. Everybody will want it. You do a Weird Sister 3 line or Jonathan line, and I'll do a Renfield line.
Puppets! Pretty little puppets. Will they dance with us? I love it when they dance.
Beautiful. Am I supposed to do a line?
Yeah, you're supposed to do a line.
Josh is glaring daggers at me, so I guess I'll be doing Renfield as well. Sounds like the pointless ravings of a madman to me. But what do I know? Our last question from Celestial VA is Team Jonathan or Team Dracula?
My heart wants to say Jonathan because I would like to, have that support, that supportive and loving spouse, but I gotta go with Dracula. Yeah, I would say I'm Team Dracula purely for fiction. Dracula. Sorry.
Personally, it's a silly question because the real answer is Team Lucy. Gotta ship Mina and Lucy. But between the options presented, I've gotta go with Team Jonathan, actually. I don't find Dracula quite as appealing as some people do. Not to shame, but I think Jonathan is sweet. He genuinely cares, and I think they're a sweet couple, so I still ship them too.
Our next question goes back to Terabyte, and he is asking, if given the chance, would you want to put the Woes of Whitby on stage as it was originally planned?
In short, absolutely. I love theater. It was originally planned as a stage show. So getting the opportunity to go back to its roots and see it there would be delightful. But I would be a little nervous because the story and the script literally evolved into the format of audio drama. There were a lot of lines altered to fit with the format better because on stage you have visual cues that you don't have in audio. A general example of this is needing to mention people's names more often to help establish for the audience which voice belongs to who. A particular instance of this change would be the scene where they find Lucy has gone sleepwalking, and they find her in the churchyard. In the original concept of the scene, it was only Mina who goes out and finds her. But in an audio drama, having only Mina left us with her narrating every action she does, and that just didn't sound natural. So along came the idea of introducing Mrs. Westenra into the scene so that they could play off of each other, and it built the scene into an audio drama format much better. And if we walk it back and go back to stage, does that change carry with it or not? There's a lot of suspense, I think, that would go on stage well with Mina alone searching for Lucy. I would love to see it on stage, but I would be curious what form exactly that would take.
That sounds exhausting, but I definitely think that I would like to do that. I had all these grandiose plans when we were trying to make this into a stage show. And I would definitely like to see it with all the visual cues and the sets and the backdrops and what have you. I would like to see it played out with, physical people. It would kind of be weird at this point, to be honest, as weird as that sounds because it started that way, but I would love to see it.
Lastly, our final question comes from Autumn the Raven. She asks, in the future, would you want to produce another monster tale? If yes, which story or character would be your next pick?
Yes.
Dracula will write all the stories.
Well, Autumn the Raven, I definitely would like to do another classic horror tale. I feel like we've had a pretty good reception with the Woes of Whitby, and I loved doing this. It was so much fun. I loved meeting the people I met and, learning as I go on how to create an audio drama, how to create a world, a thrilling tale. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So that's the long answer. The short answer is yes, definitely. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this or not. I'll get a look if I'm not. But is that a yes or no? But we actually do have tentative plans to continue this, and we're kind of looking at potentially Frankenstein. Or personally, I really love the story of Sleepy Hollow. I love the possibilities that we have. And the plan is to kind of create a shared universe of sorts and see where we can go.
Right now, we're having a lot of fun still playing around in the Woes of Whitby continuity. We have at least one or two other stories that follow some of those characters and sheds light on other aspects of their world and their story. But to answer the question directly, yes, we would love to. There's a lot of fertile ground to be built on in those classical monster tales. And what makes them so exciting to come back to at this point is that the world is very different. So the way we see these stories is completely different than they were seen at the time, I think. So even though we're continuing to tell them through a lens of that era, it's being shaded by our modern day experiences. So coming back to a classic like that and having the opportunity to pull a new meaning out of what was already there is just, it's thrilling to do.
Thank you for listening to our special Q&A episode with the creators of the Woes of Whitby. We really appreciate the love and support you've shown to our project.
A special thanks goes to everyone who sent in a question. It was so much fun, so thank you.
And for more Woes of Whitby content, be sure to check out our Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube page, as well as many other podcasting platforms. If you or someone you know would like to be in one of our upcoming projects, be sure to follow us on our social media as we post casting auditions for writers as well as voice actors. And finally, a very special and heartfelt thanks to our incredible cast. We absolutely could not have done this without you.
And remember, friends,
this is only the beginning.